We have a couple of conferences in action last night. Also, we have Kory Alford. He's the head men's basketball coach, Huntington University. Cascade Hoops Talk starts right now. Well, how's everybody doing? I hope you're having a good morning off to your day, but you can't start it without Billy D, right? Hey, last night, Langston University, they went to Southwestern Christian. They beat them 68-49. They're really starting to roll. They also have Cameron Bryce back. That's going to help quite a bit. The dude can play basketball. Remember, he was at Talladega with Coach, but he had 17 points last night. And Jameson Epps, he had 12.6 rebounds. So Langston, they go to 12-2, and they're going to play Texas Wesleyan on Thursday. I just get the feel that Langston is starting to hit their stride. We're going to have to see as this thing goes. Let's look more at the Sooner last night. A couple of games I want to talk about. Texas Wesleyan, they beat UNT Dallas. That's important because when I show you the standings, an upset last night. Oklahoma Panhandle beat Wayland Baptist. Wayland has been kind of beaten up on everybody in the Sooner. They went over to Oklahoma Panhandle, and they got it handed to them 67-66. Big win for Panhandle, a painful loss for Wayland. So Wayland Baptist now is 10-2. And you can see with that win last night, Langston is 8-2. This is big because they're the same in the loss column now. So Langston's fate is in their own hands. Nelson, John Brown, Texas Wesleyan, this is why that was a big win for them. So it's kind of bunching up here. It looks like it might turn into a pretty tight race. We're going to have to keep an eye on it. So on Thursday, Langston is going to be at the before said Texas Wesleyan. They're going to be on the road. So it's going to be a test for them, but they can keep creeping up on Wayland Baptist. And Nelson is going to be at John Brown. Now, John Brown was looking pretty solid in the conference. Now they're down to 7-3. Nelson is 8-3. So this is a huge game. Couple big games on Thursday in the Sooner. A lot of conferences starting to heat up. Did I ever tell you how much I love the conference races? Okay, we're going to talk about the HBCU in a minute. But first, let's take a listen to Kory Alford. He's been at Huntington now for about 5 years. He's settling in there. He's doing a great job. Of course, they fell to Marion the other night, but, you win in basketball, you win and you lose. Nobody wins them all. About the last 5 minutes of this interview, I think I had a cable problem. We picked up some static in the interview. I hope it doesn't distract from it too much. But let's take a look, and I apologize to Coach for that. But let's take a listen to Coach Kory Alford. He's the head men's basketball coach, Huntington University. Cascade Hoops Talk, Billy D. Hey, I got Kory Alford here. He's the head men's basketball coach, Huntington Foresters. Thank you, Coach, for being on.
Happy to be here, Billy. Great talking to you as always.
Coach, the first thing I want to ask you about is, I've been watching NAIA basketball a long time, and I'm an old guy. And you've played teams all around the country. I mean, you played Milligan out of the AAC. You played Lawrence Tech, Holy Cross, down in Florida. And you've seen basketball all across the country. The parity, in my mind, this season is I've just never seen it quite like this. What's your take of the NAI this season?
Yeah, I think it's we were just talking before the show a little bit. I think it's always fascinating just to see what teams end up having year to year. And I think there's obviously great coaches and great programs, but with the new transfer climate and added years and just overall flexibility that everybody has, I think it's really opened the door for teams to reload quicker. I think it used to go in cycles a lot more where you graduate a big class and I mean, we're going to be in that situation next year. We lose a lot of our scoring, a lot of our upperclassmen. And in the past, I think you're a little more stressed out, worried about trying to get freshmen developed and that type of thing, where now it's just you kind of wait till the spring and you can do a lot of different things and get creative with recruiting. But I think as far as the landscape and NAIA, I think the beauty of college basketball at any level is just the different styles of play that work. And I think for us, obviously the Crossroads League has a certain style to it, but then within each program, there's little different variances. But like you said, we played a team like Milligan. That was a game we
Yeah.
won 56-50, I think. That's probably never going to happen in a Crossroads League versus Crossroads League team. And I think for us, it was a great sign that we could win a game a different way. And we've had to do that now a couple different ways. And then we go down, we play a team like Ave Maria that is honestly as impressive an offensive team that we've watched on film. Just the way that they do the little things offensively with spacing and shot fake, pass fake, punch in the paint, just moving the ball. And for us to be able to show up down there defensively and play the way that we did was a great thing heading into break. And then I think you've just got the other part of college basketball that makes our job extremely hard, and that's the inconsistencies of you've got kids on your team. They're 18, 19, 20 years old,
Yep.
and you never know what the other team's going through. I think you always think that your team kind of has the most problems in the world, and that's never the case. But I think that's why you've got upsets all the time. That's why you've got such inconsistencies of play from night in, night out. But it's also what makes our jobs fun and challenging at the same time, where you're dealing with a lot of people stuff. I love the X's and O's. I love the scheme. I love the scouting. I love the play calling, all of that. But at the end of the day, it's a people game. And how can you get your 12, 13, 14 guys to come together, have a shared common goal, learn from losses, learn fighting through adversity? I think that's the really fun part. And I think that's the thing that all of us around the country are trying to do every night.
Yeah, I think that's really well said. You how many times do you see the team that has the most quote unquote talent doesn't always isn't always the team that's going to prevail, right? It's the five guys who can get it done the best together. To
Yeah,
be
on that night too.
Yeah,
It's a finite amount of time. You got 40 minutes, and there's times when you can figure it out at halftime. There's times when you can figure it out the last 5 minutes. We just played a game at Marion where had we somehow won the game, we had a possession at the end
yeah,
to score, or had we gone to overtime and won the game, we would not have deserved it. And sometimes that happens, but that was a team that outplayed us. They out toughed us, and um, it was a game that honestly we just deserved to lose. And the hope now is that you can learn from it moving forward, that you can take lessons from it. Um, but there's so many things that go into just that game that you got to prepare for it. And we've talked about it with our guys that the preparation's one part of it, but then you also got to perform. You can
yeah.
do all the prep in the world that you want and be the most prepared team, but then you got to show up for battle, and you've got to not only meet it physically, but then you've got to perform. You got to make shots. You got to get stops when you need to get stops. And sometimes you're right. The more talented team wins. Sometimes they don't. But that's the beauty of playing the game. That's the beauty of sport.
You mentioned going into battle. You're there in the Crossroads League, definitely one of the toughest leagues, if not the toughest in the country. I'm sure that a lot of people would be willing to debate that, but nevertheless, it's a tough 18 game schedule. You've been in the league now for several years. Just give your assessment of the league and the basketball there.
Yeah, I think if you are not aware of how good Crossroads League basketball is, if you're in our area, please come to a game. I tell everybody to do that. But if not, just tune into one game online. Watch any of us play. Um, I've gotten a lot of my basketball friends and family into the league, and everybody that comes around becomes fans instantly, because I think it's a couple things. I think it's high level skill. We have really good players in our league. We have fantastic coaches in our league. I mean, I can go down the list. I'm not even going to name names because the resumes and
Yep.
everything are too long, and just as well as I do. But I'm blessed to coach in this league. They've made me a better coach because every single night um, is an absolute challenge and a war. But I think what goes um, kind of underestimated in our league is the physicality of all of it. I think we are a high skill, high offense league, but I think if you watch an IWU Huntington or Huntington Grace, IWU Bethel, St. Fran, like these teams, man, when we play our games, it is not only physical, it's an extremely hard game to officiate. Like it is high level college basketball. It's great crowds. Um, and it's a great college basketball environment all around. They're fun games to be a part of. They're fun teams to scout. Like I talked about it, we do have different styles of play within the league. But I think the biggest thing, I've got friends that are in coaching in the Big 12, and it's very similar when either you're going through a tough stretch or you just take a loss, and then you look up at your schedule. You've really got to take it one game at a time because you can
Yeah.
get in a dark place if you take a loss and then you're looking at, oh man, I've got Grace, IWU, St. Francis, Bethel coming up. Just like the Big 12, you maybe lose the game and you're like, oh shoot, man, I got to go to Kansas. Then I got Arizona at home. I got Iowa State. Like it's just top 10, top 15 teams back to back to back. And you've really got to stay in the moment. The good part is you've got opportunities for resume building games. Um,
Yep.
most losses that we take in our league are going to be quad one losses, which is um, a pretty crazy thing. But for getting prepared for the national tournament and for building a resume for the national tournament, it's as good of a league as you can possibly be in. And then just fighting in for this conference championship, I think this is the most open that our league has been. Obviously, Bethel is off to a great start right now. But I think there's so many games left and so many teams that are competing for this thing that I do think it's a year where we can get 6 teams into that national tournament. Um, and I'm just interested to see kind of how the next month and a half shakes out. But blessed to be a part of this league. It's been unbelievable 5 years. I've enjoyed every moment of it and cannot speak highly enough about what the basketball looks like in this conference.
Coach, let's talk a little about the Foresters. When I watch you as a fan, I see the Foresters as a little bit more of a blue collar kind of program, just kind of grinders, And I think part of it is the persona with the Foresters and everything, but it just is more of a, I don't know, you just a bit more of grinders. I can't think of another word. How do you assess your program?
Well, I think the timing of the question, had you asked me a week ago, I think I would have owned that and been happy with it. But how we just played in our last game, I'm not sure I would have called us grinders. But it is a part of our culture. We've gone small the last few years, so I think
Yeah,
that's part of what
exactly. Yep.
that probably comes across through the film for you watching at home, where we've just had to scrap some games out. But I do think the toughness and our physicality that we try to play with it's necessary in this league to win. Um, but I think we pride ourselves in not turning the ball over, getting high percentage shots. We've obviously had some prolific scorers here with Zach Goodline and Lane Sparks, but I think the toughness side of things defensively, and it's what we've tried to hang our hat on this year. It's just been a little bit inconsistent. But I think our on-ball pressure and our overall physicality and size is our best that we've had in our 5 years this year. Our depth at big with Landon Jordan, Roman Brewer, and Caden Johnson, just to be able to have some versatility there inside has definitely been different. And then our ball pressure, I think Jackson Paul, Max Gizzy are as good on-ball defenders. And then Drew Goodline is also a very capable defender and has really stepped up his offensive side of things for us this year. I think he's averaging now close to 14, 15 points a game. And so for his development to have taken that jump is something that we're extremely pleased with. But I will definitely take that grinder label. I think that is something that we pride ourselves on as much as today it may not feel like that's what we showed over the weekend.
Well, right now as we speak, I think you're 2-3 in conference. or league. Sorry, you've got.
Yep.
But you said, like you said, there's tons of you play 18 conference games. You have 13 left. Tons of basketball left to play. You're getting really good production out of Sparks and Goodline. You're shooting the three really well. What are the areas you feel like you have to shore up right now?
Yeah, I think it's defensive consistency. I think out of league, our defensive rating is close to 90, 91 points per 100 possessions. And then
Mm-hmm.
in league, it's now close to 120. And so we've been able to defend at times, but we haven't been able to consistently defend in our conference games right now. And rebounding was a real focus in the offseason. We thought this could be our best rebounding team, and it has been. I think too often right now, it's just been not consistent enough being able to kind of string stops together and have the toughness on that side of the floor to be a consistent high-level defensive team. I think offensively, we're doing a really good job with execution. We're doing a good job attacking in transition, getting what we want out of the half court and kind of blending our different lineups together. And I think some of our bench guys are really coming along too. Kate Brenner and Landon Beagle, been happy with their mentality and production here in the last few weeks. But I think just that overall consistency defensively, that's what's going to help in the conference play. And it's not easy because you play teams that are top 5, top 10 offenses in the country every night. And so it's going to be a little bit skewed to where you do give up more points or you're going to be less efficient defensively, but it's got to be somewhere that we take pride in and hang our hat on night in, night out if we're going to be a consistently good team in this league.
So, Coach, you've been over at Huntington several years now. A lot of buzz and excitement when you went there. Talk about your reception at Huntington over the last few years, and are you having fun there playing in the Platte?
Yeah, we are truly blessed here for many, many reasons, but our new renovation of our arena is truly incredible. Practice court, brand new arena with suite and film room and locker room expansion and weight room, all the things that I would ask for in a basketball program we have. And so it's been truly amazing from that standpoint, but our community support is second to none. Our fans, we had a game on December 29th or 30th at like 2 p.m. on a Monday, and the crowd that we have in here is incredible. And it's all just community support. I think we're just in a really good pocket just outside of Fort Wayne, and everybody here loves Forester basketball. I am having an absolute blast here. It's been a phenomenal 5 years. I'm blessed with a great coaching staff. Starting with Coach Jared Yock is my associate head coach, but he's going to be a head coach one day very soon. But he does a phenomenal job for us across the board. Just a tireless worker and high level basketball mind. But I've also been blessed to just be around players that love the game. We've had Zach Goodline. He got back here he was playing over in Kosovo for the first half of the year. He's actually coming down today to hang out and talk basketball with us. But just the guys that have been through the program and to coach basketball in the state of Indiana, where it is the thing and kids grow up loving the game of all levels. They follow the game. It just means something to them and to their families and to our fans. And so unbelievable place. I cannot speak highly enough about it. And my administration has been nothing but supportive from day one. So it's been an outstanding 5 years and looking forward to the future.
Well, you built a good program there. It's a good year to year to year. I haven't had the pleasure to watch a game yet in the Platte, but as you know, I'll be out next season. I can't wait to walk in there and see that historic place. And
we look forward to having you. We may have to rent the suite out for you, like Billy do. Bring in whoever he wants, and you can kind of host yourself up there if that works for you.
I'm just thrilled to be able to come back and watch a guy. I love going into different venues, historic venues like that. It's just, it's really, it's fun, right? It's kind of an honor. And
absolutely. That's how I feel recruiting in the state. Every random high school you end up going to, it's some story from the 50s to the 60s, and if I don't know the history, I just call my grandfather, and then he gives me some background on whatever it was he remembers from that place.
No, I'm gonna let you go here in a second, but I got to follow up on that because when you first came to Huntington, you were talking about your grandpa kept showing up on campus. Is he still coming over a
Yep.
lot?
Oh, he's here all the time. He
That is
actually, my
amazing.
grand my grandma, she finally won a battle. I don't know if she's won very many others, but she got him to go to Florida for December and January. So they are down in much warmer weather for right now.
Oh, good.
But he is tuned in. He talks. I talk to my grandpa almost every day, and he wants to talk recruiting still to this day. So he is constantly. He is probably my pseudo recruiting coordinator. That will probably never stop because that man loves Indiana high school basketball, and he is a fantastic resource for me for many different reasons.
Enjoy every moment you have with him. I mean, it sounds like you have a great relationship with him, and you're really lucky to have that.
We are certainly blessed as a family. My dad took a tough loss the other night at New Mexico,
Yeah.
so I think it's just like our family revolves around the sport, which is good and bad. I think we all go through ups and downs together, but the family conversations are always around this great game that has brought us a lot of many blessings. So truly thankful.
Well, Coach Alford, I really appreciate you taking a few minutes. We'll have to get you back on as you get a little bit deeper into that Crossroads League. Life doesn't get any easier on Wednesday. You got Grace coming to town. I don't know if you know that yet or not, but it just never
There's
stops, does it?
There's, yep, every night. But that is always a fun one. This place will be rocking on Wednesday night, and that's always a fun one between us and Coach Moore and his group. And so tune into that one on Wednesday. It should be a fun one.
Definitely. Well, thank you very much, Coach. That's Coach Kory Alford, head men's basketball coach at Huntington University. Thank you, Coach.
Thanks, Billy. We'll talk soon.
Hey, thanks a lot to Kory Alford and to Huntington University. Again, I apologize, Coach. I apologize to Huntington University, and I ended up having to change a cable after that, and it fixed it. I didn't pick it up during the interview because it was fine coming out of the interface, but it was something between the interface and the computer, and I didn't. I monitor the interface, not the computer. Anyway, too much detail. But it's kind of embarrassing to do that. Good, Kory gave a great interview, and then those last 5 minutes were so staticky. I kind of thought about shortening it up, but I thought the content was too good to lose, so I went ahead and just used it. So enough about that, but I apologize to everybody, especially to Kory Alford and to all the fans of the Huntington Foresters. And we'll get Kory back on again without the static. So, but thank you very much to Kory Alford. Let's take a look at the HBCU was in action tonight. This was kind of an interesting conference tonight as well. So this was a big loss for Suno. They've been doing really well in the HBCU conference. Fisk, which is, they're down a bit in the standings. They were able to knock off Suno tonight, so that was a big loss for them. And then it looked like Philander Smith was going to beat Stillman, but they lost in 2 overtimes, so Stillman really dodged a bullet there at home. They got the win. Those were the 2 big games. So Stillman now continues to hold a half-game lead over Tougaloo. And you can see it there. It's a game and a half over Dillard. You can see where this loss, they would have went 7-1 if they could have beat Fisk. Huge loss for Suno. So the HBCU will be back in action tonight, and Dillard is going to be at Fisk. See if Fisk can pull it off twice, and then Tougaloo they should win this game, but that's going to be a big win or a big game for them as they work to keep pace with Stillman. Well, that's what I have for you tonight. Check in with us tomorrow. It looks like we're going to have Charles Belt. They pulled off that big win over Wayland tonight. I think we'll have Charles Belt for you tomorrow. And it looks like I'm planning on having Chris Kemp from Eastern Oregon Mountaineers. He'll be on Thursday. So we're having a full week. I hope you're enjoying all this NAIA basketball. Man, it is getting good. So every conference is coming down to a tight race. Did I ever mention I love the conference races? This is Billy D, and that's all I got. Thank you very much for supporting our podcast. Please like and subscribe. Get out to your local NAIA school because NAIA basketball is the best entertainment value in America.